Gracias, profesor. Enrique.
Thank you very much. I give the floor now to Enrique Calvet.
Pues, sí, pues muchas gracias, amigo Fernando.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Fernando. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this very interesting subject. And I've approached this issue since I was little, actually, because I belong to a multinational family personally, and this made me also always dream of Europe, Europe with European citizens. I think that it's a very important issue, especially nowadays, and we see that in a way it overlaps, and we need to see the future of European citizens, the future of European citizenship overlaps with this recovery, or how can we say, or this strengthening of the needs of becoming citizens again, true citizens with all our rights, all our civic rights. And in some states, we need to recover this idea, this sense of citizenship. So in my case, I think this is a clear objective for a fight within my country, but also within that greater country or homeland, which is the European Union. And we've heard some prestigious professors speak before me, so I'm just going to give you the humble view of a politician. So would like to also provide a view that is based on common sense, or at least this is my objective. Of course, we need to promote European citizenship of a Europe based on citizens and not only on states or territories. So the construction of Europe, of course, needs to also focus on territorial construction. I'm a federalist. Others might have a different view, but in the end, all these territories have European citizens or need to have European citizens. It's a political option, of course. It's not an absolute truth. It's an objective some of us fight for. For me, it is the adequate option, but it is an option, and I am a militant, it's true in this sense. And this needs to be taken into account as the politician and the MEP I am. I would also like to add that, in my opinion, this option, this political option, this political view, inspires the creation of our founding fathers, Jean Monnet, Schuman, Adenauer, De Gasperi, amongst others. And otherwise, this parliament, this European Parliament, wouldn't even exist. Since the beginning, aware of the difficulties, there's this trend towards the creation, the building of this European citizenship, of a cohesive European citizenship. And another element I would like to highlight in this introduction is the following. I don't think that politicians or utopians, and if we are honest politicians, we should have a bit of utopians. We do not focus only maybe on materialistic aspects and not only focus on a legalist approach. I think that our ambition goes beyond all of that, and part of that history we have heard about, that the professor has talked about. I will not even attempt to pronounce his name. I am a very bad European, so I do not want to mispronounce it. Please excuse me. But I think that, as it has been highlighted in that example, citizenship goes beyond legislation, well beyond legislation. Having said this, we see that the issue of European citizenship, from a political point of view, will always be associated to reason, being reasonable, logic, and will also be linked to feelings. So feelings in general. We are not going to be able to create European citizenship otherwise. The Europe we need is the Europe that is going to allow us that when the planet we're almost there. When the planet becomes this communication between two great continents because of natural historic evolution, economic issues, amongst others. So the logic we're going to have to follow in this planet is that it's going to be between the US, India, Brazil, China, so these huge powers, and the protection of freedoms and promotion of freedoms in Europe, as de Gaulle used to say, is going to need to have a true political unity of the polis in that sense, of citizens. So we need to go towards European citizenship. It is essential because we cannot all be Swiss, or we cannot be Luxembourgese, and it limits us also from a historical point of view. So if we're being truly honest in this fight, I lead to promote European citizenship is because I think it's essential for the future of my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. It is essential for history. So it's a historic evolution. However, we need to create the notion itself of citizenship. It cannot just be a series of legislative benefits, for example. And there we have progressed greatly. We need to also promote and create collective feeling of respect, if not love in a sense, and at least the need of the other. And there are many things that need to be done. I'm just going to focus on two of them, which I think are clearly essential. The first one is key, and I think there's where we as politicians need to work, which is education. Education, and education, which is the third important element. So 3 times education. So this is what we are lacking. That's where we are making the mistake. And in 1986, I was 36 years old, and I had the possibility to meet Jean Delors, and he was defending this already at the time, and this is where my idea was born. So education has to be the main pillar of European citizenship, taking into account feelings, and it needs to accompany the rational approach. Needs to go beyond that national approach to what we have heard, what the professor has told us regarding that specific example. And it's an example of some of the mistakes that also can be made. We are ignoring education. We don't know that history that has been told to us here today. And it can't be. We don't know, for example, what has been done in the past. For example, the Order of Malta, what did they do? What did those knights do? We don't know. We ignore it. This can't be. So we need to introduce specific subjects at a European level, at schools, and we also need to introduce this in the curricula to educate. So what has been this history of Europe? This is essential. And second of all, we also need to promote those famous values we're all talking about, but that require specific education, civic education, to know what we're talking about, how important they are, and how fragile they can be, and how difficult it is to protect and defend them, because we can lose them very quickly, and they take a long time to be earned. And it's a shame. For example, in my case, I never learned what we have heard here today at school. And I think this can't be. I think that education needs to be promoting this awareness raising of citizenship, not only the fact that we can go to a European court, etc., because all these elements are a bit Kafkian, and all these different measures, when they're positive, no one talks about them. When they're negative, the populists use them to promote their own agenda. And we need this education. Of course, we need to also present it from a rational international point of view and make clear that if we start dividing Europe, well, at the end, Europe is not going to be relevant in the world sphere, and we will lose prosperity, we will lose freedom. And it's very difficult to promote this, for example, in Spain, because we see that in some nations, education is being quite tribal. That is the term. Tribal education. The world ends in my neighborhood. In my country, this is what is happening in Spain. So this goes against the values of illustration. It's anti-democratic, of course. It goes against enlightenment, and then it's impoverishing our population, and we need to tell people that this is not adequate. So education is essential, and of course there are a lot of other things that need to be done. And as my dear friend Fernando, well, he decided to invite me, and he will make sure I don't bore you in excess. So I will not dwell on these issues too long. I just would like to highlight a second element. Last element regarding education, mobility. We need to have more Erasmus. It needs to be compulsory. All young people in Europe, the youth needs to spend at least a year in another European country. Far away. We need to do this. And what are we promoting through this? What are we promoting through this? We are promoting mixed couples. Because I am the son of a French mother and a Spanish father. And my grandfather, who killed Germans at the war, he did more for Europe when he married someone that was not from his region. So mobility is essential. Well, we cannot make it compulsory for anyone to marry someone from another country, of course. And my assistant was I won't say who it is, but my assistant who is with a French lady reminded me of this. This allows us to have a broader approach regarding Europe.
También vendría por parte de la educación. La solidaridad que tenemos, el interés que tenemos en estar juntos, y no en el sentirnos juntos, y no solo a través de tratados internacionales, de alianzas que son frágiles, que cambian, que siempre tienen detrás intereses más o menos ocultos. Bueno, en Europa yo encuentro, y los profesores podrán quitarme la razón porque es intuitivo, hay mucha más conciencia de ser miembros de la civilización occidental, miembros del mundo occidental, en donde metemos legítimamente a Norteamérica, Canadá, etcétera. Hay mucha más conciencia de hacer eso. O sea, incluso metemos a los blancos, si quieren ustedes. Hay mucha más conciencia de ser eso que de ser europeos. Ahí se Pues es lamentable. ¿Y cómo podemos convertir? Que por supuesto somos miembros de la civilización occidental, pero antes nos conviene serlo desde el punto de vista del europeo. ¿Y cómo podemos hacer eso de cara al futuro? Tener en cuenta que nos tenemos que proteger todos como europeos. Y estoy hablando de una cosa que es muy utópica, que he trabajado en el Comité Económico y Social y que lo digo aquí. Se llama de una defensa común europea. Para lo cual hay que pasar, para que lleguemos hay que pasar porque el señor de Austria sepa que cuando se protege la frontera del Mediterráneo o la frontera del Báltico, se le está protegiendo a él y por eso contribuye. Se le está protegiendo a él. Igual que yo como español sé que cuando ayudo a los polacos contra, digamos, ogros imperialistas, me estoy protegiendo a mí. Porque si no llegan hasta mí, y además porque son mis hermanos. Bueno, pues es otra vía de ir creando conciencia europea. Evidentemente estamos, lo ha dicho muy bien aquí el profesor, en un momento de crisis la crisis se orienta hacia que como nos ven, pues como se supone que somos unos técnicos para arreglar los problemas, y los problemas son muy gordos y no los sabemos arreglar, pues entonces crece el nacionalismo, además los populismos. Pero yo diría más allá, y no sé si él estará de acuerdo, estamos en una crisis de valores democráticos. Estamos en una crisis de las democracias occidentales en Europa. Eso es muy grave, se nos pide mucho trabajo. Desde luego, reforzar la ciudadanía europea, siempre con más democracia y mejor democracia, porque una de las cosas que está sucediendo en determinados países...
Because a lot of tribalism has been hidden as democracy. And a lot of this democracy needs to be based on the idea that citizenship goes beyond your neighborhood. What can civil society do? 3 things. We can demand MEPs to act as Europeans. If we're coming here to defend the interests of crab fishermen in the region of Lower Aragon in Spain, we're not being European. We need to act as Europeans first. Second, we have to promote the ideas of European education. And number 3, we need to demand that we share the truth about our values. But I'm including everybody, NGOs, everybody who shares these values of more Europe as a solution, and more and better Europe. They shouldn't simply just complain about MEPs. Complaining is all fine and well, but we should all go out in the street and say the truth. Europe is not a Kafkaesque world of civil servants and trade treaties. Europe is what they do every day when they fight for Europe from a citizen's perspective. And this is as a new politician I will work for, and sorry for having tortured you with my words. Thank you.